Let's look at some of the impact of radioactive pollution. What happens? What are the two types of impact due to radioactive radiation? The first impact is called as a somatic damage. You must have heard of it. Somatic. Somatic, it's also called as radiation sickness. What is it called? Radiation sickness. What does it mean? Somatic damage refers to damage of the non-reproductive cells in the body. Simple. Suppose there is a leak in the nuclear reactor, and if the operator was very close by, you should see some images of Chernobyl. You can see that their skin, skin has just melted on top. It is cracked. It looks very horrible actually. So the radiation has penetrated the skin quite literally. So that's a somatic damage. So what happens? The person dies. Okay, the person dies. At least that's the end of the story. The future generation is not impacted. But there is a second kind of damage where the reproductive cells or cells associated with reproduction are damaged, and the damage goes all the way up to the genes and it mutates the genes. So we call it as a genetic damage. So there are broad two kinds, somatic damage and genetic damage. Genetic damage can pass on from one generation to another. If you have seen any documentary or come across the literature of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, you will find that people who were born to parents who were infected with because in Hiroshima the death had happened in two ways. One was the impact of the heat, yeah, so people had died. Other people did not immediately die, but the radiation was so high that they died after few months. But between they getting impacted by radiation and between the death, let's say they produced babies, and those babies also had some of these diseases associated with radiation pollution, radioactive radiation pollution. Okay. Now, how can someone get a radioactive pollution? So it's a function of two things. One is the intensity of the radiation. Intensity of radiation. Second is duration of exposure. Now, there are situations where, let's say in case of Chernobyl, this was a case of very high intensity for a short duration because the person was evacuated, but the intensity was very high. So eventually what happens? The person dies. There are also some cases, and you tell me which case, where the intensity is low intensity, but prolonged exposure. Low intensity and prolonged exposure. Do you know someone who has died because of this? Low intensity, but prolonged exposure. After effects, you are right. Low intensity, prolonged exposure, you are right. So let me put it this way. I am looking for a name. I don't want to give a clue. And it's the name of a woman, a lady. If that doesn't, excellent, Abhishek. Good. I'm referring to Madame Curie or Marie Curie as they call it. She was one person who was working on the field of radioactivity, and she is credited. In fact, the beauty about Madame Curie is she is the only person who has got 2 Nobel Prize for 2 different subjects. So she got Nobel Prize for physics, then she got Nobel Prize for chemistry in a span of 2 years. She is one remarkable lady who has done so much for science. But unfortunately, hers is a case where she was working. So she is known to have found this thing called radium, and the other substance that she found is polonium. Okay, anyway, so that's about Madame Curie. Okay, the unit of measurement is called REM. REM stands for Roentgen equivalent men. So Roentgen is once again Wilhelm Roentgen. It's from a Germany guy, and he is the one who is credited with the invention of X-rays. Yeah, so it is that Roentgen. So the unit of measurement of radiation is measured by REM. So when the REM is less than 1 milli REM, then our body itself adjusts. there is a minute damage, then the body repairs itself. But if the exposure is more than 100 REM, it is called as radiation sickness or acute radiation symptom. It's called as radiation sickness or acute radiation symptom, ARS. It's called as ARS, radiation sickness or acute radiation syndrome. This is what happens when something like Chernobyl happened or Fukushima happened. Okay, so I have also highlighted some of the important nuclear accidents, of which you are expected to know only these three. First three. Okay, Fukushima Daiichi 2011. And in this three, what you need to remember is these two were human error. Both of them are human error. There are a lot of short videos on Chernobyl. When you get the chance, you can look at it. That is on human error. This was an act of God. Why an act of God? Because there was earthquake followed by tsunami. And even though they had a breach wall, maybe some 8-10 feet, the water came on top of the breach wall. Okay, and it flooded the nuclear reactor. So there was also a serious concerns that it has also caused the water to be radioactive. Okay. So to that extent, the nuclear accidents are a little. You know what this nuclear accident did? It caused a somewhat. It had an impact on India. Any idea what kind of impact it had on India? It impacted India related to nuclear field. That's the clue for you. Any idea? It put brakes on a particular initiative. Excellent, Abhishek. Kudankulam. So Kudankulam project was a joint venture between Russia and India. Now the Indians said, because we hold the Japanese people in high regard, the Indians said that if Japan could not save a nuclear power plant, then where does India or Russia stand? So there was a lot of opposition to the Kudankulam project, but eventually the government went ahead and the reactors are getting made in Kudankulam in the southern part of Tamil Nadu. Okay, so that's on this part. So if you give me 5 more minutes, I'll finish the last topic of the nuclear of the radioactive pollution, which is not related to radioactive pollution, but a radiation pollution, a topic which is gaining traction of late. If you have any idea, guys, which movie brought the theme as radiation pollution? Any idea? Of birds getting dead because of a cell phone tower. It tries to protect the bird and it becomes the villain eventually. This is a huge clue. Someone would have seen the movie, no? So this was this movie called 2.0. Have you heard of this movie? Rajnikant is the hero as always, and Akshay Kumar is the villain in this. So he's the guy who tries to save birds, and he's against putting up these mobile towers in his area. And yeah, Robo 2.0. So he's against putting these cell phone towers in this area, and eventually commits suicide on the tower and all that. So that was the first mainstream movie which talked about the impact of mobile towers on birds. Okay. Now, what is happening globally? The first thing is, and here understanding of electromagnetic spectrum becomes useful, because you will see whether it is bad, if so, how much bad is it. So we are talking of cell phone towers in this range, which is actually less than the visible light to that extent. But the problem is, if it is one cell phone for one human being, the power is less. But what we are talking is cell phone tower, where it has the emitter, which is very, very powerful. The emitter is very, very powerful, and it sends it in all directions. Now, we as human beings, we don't sit close to the emitter. Am I right? But who can go closest to the emitter? The birds. Therefore, it's not a coincidence that with the increase in the number of mobile towers in the cities have lost one very important bird. And this is not just in India, this is across the world. Surprisingly, you may have seen yourself, this gentleman, he has reduced drastically. And then I realized, yeah, it's correct. It's been a while I have seen a sparrow in Chennai, near my house. My house used to have a lot of, not in the core Chennai, it's slightly outer, so we used to have different kinds of birds. Then I realized, yeah, in the last 10, 15 years, I'm not seeing that And a study was done in UK, and in UK also they found that the number of sparrows in London had decreased by 45% in 30 years. So that's huge. Now, why is it that the birds, or what are all the impacts? Why is the population of sparrows coming down? The population of sparrows is coming down because people have done some research, and roughly the results are along these lines. One is decrease in the reproductive ability. So the reproductive ability gets decreased, obviously, the propagation of population is not going to happen. And on top of it, even imagine if they are able to reproduce, the embryos are not able to survive. Yeah. And imagine the bird is born, a new bird is born. It is born with a reduced immunity. The first reproductive ability is reduced. If they reach the stage of embryo, then embryos are very unstable. If the bird is born, if it is hatched from the egg, then that bird has reduced immunity, which means it is susceptible to a lot of infection. On top of it all, suppose the bird had survived that also. The bird had survived that. It impairs the navigational ability of migratory birds. Navigational ability. Have you ever wondered how is it that the Siberian crane, it does not have a GPS, it does not have a mobile phone with that, you're sure about it, it does not know the exact coordinates of various cities, but how is it able to safely fly from Russia to India? Yeah? Because the head of many of the avian species, the bird species, they have a navigator. They have what is called as a inbuilt navigator. Inbuilt navigator. So it is their GPS. So one example is Siberian crane, which travels a long distance. There is another example called as Amur falcon. You must have heard of Amur falcon because it comes to this part of India, so roughly Nagaland area. Yeah, primarily Nagaland. It comes to Nagaland. And unfortunately, many of these Amur falcons are also killed because they are eaten there. So Amur falcons come there, and look at the path that they take. So this, you see the three colors, blue, green, and red. So these three colors were actually geotags. Means the three Amur falcons were caught, and GPS was attached to their body. And this is the actual tracking of their movement. It's so beautiful. They have come here, and they have also traced almost exactly the same path. Okay. Now imagine Nagaland, maybe not so many mobile towers are there, let's say. So they are come to the Bay of Bengal, not so many towers. Somewhere here, let's say they meet a city. Let's say approximately this is Vizag, Visakhapatnam. It has a lot of mobile towers, let's say. Now, the bird thinks that it is going in this direction, but what if it goes in this direction? End of story. Yeah, it will keep on going Indian Ocean. It will become colder and colder. It will not be able to find the land. It will not be able to find anything to eat, and it will be dead. So that is the simple way in which the bird uses its navigational capability. Now, why are birds more prone? One factor is because birds are the ones which can travel at the height of the mobile tower, number one. And number two, birds also have a larger surface area of the body with respect to the weight. So there is something called as a surface area to weight ratio. They have a larger surface area to weight, and because of small size, the fluid, the brain or the fluid, whatever there in the head, it gets heated up faster. It gets heated up faster, which results in the disorientation of the bird. The bird is not dead, but its brain is gone. Okay, and it flies in the wrong direction and does not survive because it's in a completely wrong path. But however, it is important that all these are studies which are still in progress, because whenever you talk of mobile phone impact on birds, try to end the answer with this. Because I did a lot of research, the evidence is not yet conclusive. It is moving in that direction, but it is not yet conclusive. So much so that when this Robo 2.0 had come, the Cellular Operators Association of India had written to the Ministry of Communication, Department of Telecom, asking them to restrain the screening of this movie or to issue a warning saying that let them not make a mainstream movie which focuses on unsubstantiated facts. At least that's what they feel, that the fact is not substantiated.